Hear that noise? Well, it just developed, right? And the only thing in common with it is that you put your parking brake on recently, and now that noise is there. I say we bring it in the shop, and I'll show you what can cause it and why it's doing that. So the noise you heard was caused by the parking brake shoes. And that's what these are right here. And I got some new ones right here, but this is the old one. This is what I want to show you first. Here's the original rotor, which, by the way, the brakes are done. But if you look real close here, you can see where the parking brake shoe, how it rode inside here. Man, that is gone. A lot of water damage, and what happens from water damage is this. You can see the shoe broke itself off, shattering, caused that roughage. Some of that material looks like it got stuck on that, and you can see it all sitting down in here, right here. This is part of the brake shoes. And that happened because, well, for one, I'm sure they never used their parking brake. They have an automatic transmission, and they think, oh, we don't need to use that. Just people with manuals. Well, it's actually wrong. All cars come with parking brakes. Some come with electric. Some come with manual, which is when you pull up on that lever or push down on that lever. If you don't use that parking brake at all times, even though you have an automatic, not on a hill, eventually it's not going to work when you need it. So either you use it or you're just going to lose it. It will freeze up on you. Wheels won't turn. That one time you park on a hill every 3 years, well, it's not going to work. It has to stay moving. Everything has to stay in motion. And those cables sometimes get a shear in them, and water will get in there and rust up that cable and cause these shoes to stay out when you apply the brakes. These sit inside, and this is what they call the hat of the rotor. And it's just like a drum. And it pushes out, stops that wheel from turning when you apply the cable. And then it goes back in, resets, and the wheel spins freely without a drag. Backing plates play a huge role in this. This backing plate on that vehicle, as you can see, has the ridge where the water stops from traveling inward because it sits right in this nice line of this rotor. It's gone due to corrosion, due to lack of maintenance, but water is getting in there and it deteriorates the shoes. These shoes will break up. This is happening. They get jammed in there, and that wheel could actually lock up on you just while you're driving due to the lack of maintenance. Now, if you do your own brakes, when you take that rotor off, pay attention, please, to the backing plate and your parking brake shoes. So if you're going to tackle your brakes and you have parking brake shoes, please look at them. Then place the order at 1aauto.com. You can do the shoes, rotors, pads, and all the hardware all at once. So this is the parking brake shoe, one of the two. One always will have an arm on it, which you call a parking brake arm. The parking brake cable attaches to this, which attaches to the handle or the foot pedal. And when you apply that or pull up on the brake handle, this cable pulls this. And when it does that, it pushes this out like that, just like that. And it gets pushed up against that inside hat drum, and it stops the wheel from turning. So then it feels like the brake is on, right? So these pivots matter too. If that is frozen, if you don't assemble that correctly, put like a little caliper grease in there, and sometimes they have a spring, what they call a spring washer, and it keeps a distance in there so that that doesn't seize up or get rusted. If that's frozen and you apply that, it won't retreat. It won't go back like this. It'll stay out even though the cable retracts, if the cable's good. Now, it's going to ride inside there and cause all this breakdown also because it overheats, heats up, and breaks, becomes brittle. And the bonding, the glue will heat up and come unglued. I've seen these shoes detach from the metal and spinning freely in the wheel. And honestly, that's what I thought I was going to find when I took this apart, but it wasn't, which is still a major problem. But obviously, this rotor is a major issue. And water deterioration, sitting, that's what gives this shoe problems too, and it eats it up. So to do this properly wouldn't just be a brake job, would be parking shoes, rotors, and pads. Now all that noise is finally gone. We know the e-brake will hold, hopefully. We're going to test that out in a minute. But the noise going down the road sounds so much better. Brakes are good, and the parking brake is going to work. So don't forget to use it or lose it. And I mean, if you don't use your e-brake or parking brake, even if you have an automatic, those cables can get frozen, and when you need to use it, it's either going to hold but not let go. So always use it or lose it. Good way to test your parking brake is put a car in neutral on a little incline, put the parking brake on, and let's hope it doesn't move. It shouldn't roll either way. Now that is a true test to a good adjustment on a parking brake. Look at this incline. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell because then it turns on all your notifications and you won't miss any future videos.